Go where your best prayers take you, unclench the fists of your spirit and take it easy. Breathe deeply of the glad air and live one day at a time. Know that you're precious and learn to trust. Amen. Please be seated. And you're going to have to turn me down a little bit. I'm too loud. I'm too loud for me. Okay. What time did you get up? I got up early for a reason, no virtue, and I have my socks on to prove it. I have my Olympic socks on. I have two on. I have to have 4 or 5 pair, but I've got mine on because I got up at 5 o'clock to watch my trainer, Hakeem Abdul-Sabur, run the bobsled. We actually have a young man from Knoxville, Tennessee in the Olympics. It was, I'm still just overwhelmed. And there he was, live TV. You know, they do it live in the morning on, I think it's 12:07, and then you can watch BIR later, and it's taped. It was just fabulous to see him. He's just great young man, and he was our trainer, Chris and a bunch of us that work out for a couple of years. And to watch a young man in the Olympics, just exciting. So I don't know about you, I'm worn out. I've been watching the Olympics night and day, and it's just fabulous. They were in 13th position after his run, not so great. I want you to know he was behind the #1 car by 0.8 seconds. And you realize what that is at the end of a finish line when you're in a bobsled going 80 miles an hour? It's about 1.5 inches. That's how good they are. Just incredible. Anyway, turn it on this afternoon and look for Hakeem. He is the new young hope, they say, in our Olympic trials. It's been quite a week, hasn't it? Been an interesting week. In the first time of, what was it, like 70 or 80 years, Ash Wednesday and Valentine's fell on the same day. I was looking at some advice that you can't practice, well, a lot of Roman Catholic advice, I guess I shouldn't say, but can't practice Valentine's Day because it's Ash Wednesday. Whatever, anyway. Well, we did anyway, so I hope you did. Had a good one. And then we had the rest of that day, didn't we? And it's been hard, and I want you to acknowledge it so that maybe we can let it go for a bit and focus a bit on Lent together. But boy, that picture in the papers, it was on the front, it was the lead picture in all the news. The young mother holding the other mother and they're crying. And what does she have on her forehead? The dark black ashes of Ash Wednesday. Did you notice also what was around her neck? Was this big, beautiful silver heart locket for Valentine's. And that image has really stayed with me. It was so strong that, again, moving beyond the stuff of that day, and there is a time, and you know it is here, don't you, that we talk about guns and violence. But that's not now. Now really is to think about that blending of those cross ashes and that heart. Those two things on the single day. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, gosh, that really is what Ash Wednesday is. It really is. It's God's love through this cross for us. But one's not without the other. And sometimes we get them reversed, particularly Ash Wednesday. It's all cross, not love. And that launches us into Lent. It's all cross, not love. No, Lent is about something else, isn't it? And we're inviting you into a different way. So tune in with us. Look at Instagram and tune in to the Living Compass material. We didn't write it. It's fabulous stuff. You'll get a little intersection into your day-to-day life about how to reflect about your life. Because, see, that's what Lent's about. We say it all the time, the three of us. We have one sermon. We keep saying it's about you, it's about you, it's about you. And not because you're special, you are special, but not because you're special, but it's really because that's, see, the interior life where God is with each of us, that's what this is about. And then how we act that out. And so we're concentrating, I think, on the right thing. You know, my old hero is Archbishop William Temple, who said that Christianity is the most material of all religions. You catch that? Not about your wealth and stuff, although that's not absent, and that's another sermon for another day. He also meant material, meaning you, the stuff, the elemental stuff of life. That's what we are. Dust we are, to dust we return. You see, that's who we are. We're the elements of the universe planted on this planet. And what is that? You see, the material is not that stuff, it's this stuff. That's what God is interested in. We are the material God works with. That's what we do in Lent. And we can't follow Jesus without focusing on ourselves. It is totally impossible. It's impossible. He did it himself today in the story in the wilderness. He focuses on himself. And that's what the focus of Lent is about. To gently help us not look at you, I look at me. Have you ever refinished a piece of furniture? Some of you have. It is really hard and difficult at times, but kind of very rewarding. And if Lois were here, she would tell you that I would buy things and drag them home to refinish, and then they would sit for long periods of time. And I bought one of the original Victrolas at a yard sale in Shelbyville, Tennessee, dragged it all the way over here many years ago when I moved to Knoxville, and it sat in our garage. And she would all the time, would you please take that to the Goodwill, get right? I know I'm going to work on it. Well, I finally did. And so and it was painted kind of canary yellow and then an ugly mustard yellow on top of that. It was really pretty atrocious. But I got the paint remover and took the paint off very gently. You have to go slow. I did that. It took a long time to do that. Not endlessly, but kind of, get the steel wheel out, open the doors and make sure you got a lot of ventilation so you don't cause an explosion. And then you start stripping all the polish and varnish, which had lots of coats. That seemed to take forever. One coat after another coming off. And then finally, when you get down to it, and if you've done this, you know what I started seeing in this Victrola? It's kind of upright, it's beautiful, and 4 gorgeous legs. It was beautiful. I thought, I can see the oak really coming out. So I kept cleaning, I got better and better, and then you're more careful using thinner amounts. And then it just, and boom, there I was. I got it all cleaned and buffed out, and it was a beautiful piece of cherry. Do you see that's what it's about? That's what Lent is. We're trying to not strip all of us away. We're trying to get to that place where our surface has that patina on it. We don't take that off. That original kind of surface that God has given us. And when you do it with wood, you know what happens? That patina level doesn't need much care if it's in good shape. It just shines. And it was just covered over. You see, the idea, of course, is for us, as we work through things like that, we get a chance, to look deeper and then find that original layer that is really us, really you. The real you, the authentic you, is that patina level of your existence. And we don't slow down very much to do that, do we? Some of you know I tell Fred Craddock stories because he was literally the best preacher, I think, in America in the last 50, 60, 70 years. He was so precise about the way he understood life in the church. And Fred was just an amazing guy, and he was traveling. He was in Atlanta. He was flying somewhere to teach and preach. And, Atlanta's crazy, and it's just wild. And he was walking down the concourse, and he looked, and he went, oh, no. Because he sees a guy coming toward him about 100 feet away who was a man that was in one of his early churches. And he was thinking, I do not even want to talk to this guy. Oh, please don't make me do this. And he was trying to think, could I just duck? And he thought, no, the guy, he's already seen me. And as he's walking toward the man, he's thinking, he has always been grumpy. He is always controlling. He drove me crazy. He drove everybody crazy. He always had a scowl on his face. He was always telling everybody what was wrong with the church. His family had been there for generations. He was a constant complainer. And that's what Fred's thinking as he's walking toward him. He's thinking, okay, I'll do the right thing. I'm a clergyman. I've got to say hello, So he walks up and he says, hi. And the first thing he notices is a man smiling. And he goes like this. He says, hey, Fred, how are you? And he says, well, I'm fine. He says, how are you doing? So they small talk a little bit. And then he says, well, how's the church? He said, it's better than ever. It's as good as it's ever been. No, I'm not making a comment on you. It's just great. He said, really? Really? He said, yeah, God is at work in our church. God is at work in our community. He said, we are on fire spiritually. We are doing so much stuff. He says it's exciting. I'm more excited than I've ever been in my entire life. And Fred said, I can really tell. You've really changed. He said, oh, who's your minister right now? He said, you won't believe it's a woman. And Fred almost fell down. Fred said, you said you would die before you would let a woman be your minister. He said, yeah, I really did say that. He said, you know, I did everything to keep her from getting her job. He said, I wrote letters. He said, I've got a lot of influence. He said, Fred said, yeah, I remember. He said, yeah, I wrote letters. He said, we tried to we wrote the committee. We said, don't hire her. He said, no, we don't need a woman. That's not what we need to do. They did it anyway. He said, I got outvoted. And Fred didn't know what to say. He said, well, he said, let me help you. He said, it's okay. I got it. He said, you see, I was wrong. Fred, I was wrong about women in ministry. And when I really got confronted with that, I started looking at me. I started looking at me. And it gave me so much to start thinking about. He said, I started realizing that wasn't the first time I'd been wrong. I was wrong about a lot of stuff. And I'd been wrong for a very long time. Fred said, that is, quite an admission. He said, well, how are you now? And he said, I'm as good as I've ever been in my entire life. Hey, it's been great to see you. You take care. I'm not sure I'm right about this, but I think I am. I don't really think we can spend all our time and energy looking at other people and really look at ourselves at the same time. We cannot see ourselves if we are busy all the time looking at others. That's just the way it is. And to put it in a positive way, Lent is a time to let that go. Lent's a time to let you look at you. And you're in charge of that. Nobody else. You see, we get a chance to look again, maybe to take a few layers down. Find the patina at whatever age and whatever place and whatever experience and whatever is going on with you. You get a chance to look at you again and really look at your relationship with God again. Nobody can do that for you. No one should do that for you. And Lent is that time that we kind of carve out. So it's not a bad time, it's a great time. And there are a million ways to do it, I promise you. A million different ways. So let me tell you about me. Last week was kind of crazy. We had 2 weddings, a funeral. Jason's father-in-law is very ill. Chris's uncle died. I'm just saying, we're all involved. We got people sick around us, lots of people ill in the parish. We're just running. We've got Ash Wednesday, trying to do service to Valentine's, trying to balance all the stuff. And I'm just in one of those places. I'm click, 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 click. I'm cycling hard through everything. And I'm running. I'm getting things done. And by the way, you know what that is outside? That's called sunshine. Because did you notice it was just gallons of water coming down, and it was dark all day, and I was going like, man, do I need this? So we're plodding along, and I'm wet. I literally get wet, get dry, get wet, like you did. And so I'm out running an errand, and I really am on a schedule. I've got to click through some stuff. And I drive past Food City, and there's a guy walking from Food City in the street. And he's on crutches. And he's about, and I'm not exaggerating, he had 5 bags of like heavy cans and stuff of food that he's somehow strung on himself. He had a backpack, and the backpack now weighted down by the pouring rain. He has a rain jacket on, but no umbrella. His backpack is slipped down to about here, and it's barely hanging on him. And I'm going, oh, jeez. You know you're supposed to stop and pick that guy up. I really did. And I really did think about it. I thought, God, I got to be there. I got to be, And, I kind of probably did what y'all would do. I said a prayer. I said, please pray. I know somebody will stop in and get him. I'm going to have to trust that. I've got to be at this place. Boom. I just went on driving and went to my next appointment. And you know what? I woke up thinking about him this morning, like I did yesterday, like I did the day before, and like I did the day before. I've thought about him about 5 dozen times. And do you know what? It's a great thing. It's a great thing that I'm thinking about that. I'm not kidding. You know what happened? Lent happened for me. It literally did. I am not joking. I realized who I am. I am the man who could have stopped. Maybe I should have. But I'm the man who noticed that I could have stopped. Like you. And you know why? Because I really do have a cross on my head and I have a heart around my neck. That's who you are. That's who we are. It's not about what we do. Yes, it is. It's about who we are. I rediscovered who I am. I am a Christian. I'm not a professional Christian. I'm like you. I'm just struggling along. I am a Christian. I get to do things with my time and energy. And I really could have helped. And I pray to God that somebody like us picked him up. And I bet they did. Bet you money. You see, it's not about our doing all the time. It is about our being, who we are. It is about cross and heart together. I don't know about you. I think about this often. On Valentine's Day, which was Ash Wednesday, remember? On Valentine's Day, you know what I think about? All my first loves, when I first fell in love. And you know what it felt like? It hurt a lot. Maybe it didn't for you. It hurt me a lot. Thank you, Lois, for taking me away from that. But first love really hurts. If you're in that place and it hurts, it's supposed to hurt. Faith sometimes stings a little bit because it's supposed to. I get to be reminded of who I am. I get to be reminded not just who we are either, but whose we are every day. And I thank God for that. Amen.